And time now for this week's instrumental special, and it is a bit of a special edition of our 3 in a row instrumental sort of feature this week, because we don't normally feature 3 instrumentals by the same people, but we are doing this week. There are a couple of local musicians from here in the Blackpool area on the Fylde coast. Together they call themselves Stage Parades, and what's different about Stage Parades, I guess, is that they are instrumentalists. They don't do lyrics anymore. So it was an ideal opportunity to get them featured on the programme tonight. And what we've done is we've put together 3 of their tunes. I'll tell you about them and the names of the albums that they come from at the end. But first of all, I'll tell you that Steve Smith, who's one of the members of Stage Parades, chatted to my good friend Tony Scarborough from Fylde Coast Radio, who's actually in the chat room tonight. Evening, Tony. And Tony's kindly allowed me to use some excerpts from the interview that he did with Stage Parades to put into this package tonight. And Tony started by asking Steve just how Stage Parades came about all those years ago.
Stage Parades actually came about in about 1995. We used to have a band called Theatre X, which ran from 1974. That gives our age away, doesn't it? And after our band broke up, we no longer had any vocalists, so we thought, well, let's try and do some instrumentals, which we did from 1997 right through to 2007. The internet, of course, became our saviour, really, because the internet allowed our music to be played and get through to everybody, basically. So in 2007 we joined MySpace. I don't know if any of your listeners remember MySpace, and it generated quite a lot of interest in our music, with our influences being the Pet Shop Boys, Elton John, things like that. And we actually produced our first album in 2008, which was just basically to sell to people on MySpace, and from there we've done another 5 albums since. And what we've really got into basically is working with photographers to try and showcase their artwork coupled with our music. And so we've gained a lot of people from all different countries who actually send us pictures to put their pictures to our music, and of course we upload onto YouTube. when we were working, we had loads of equipment in a music room, which, to be fair, you don't actually need so much now, because as long as you've got keyboards, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners will identify with this,
Yes.
is that if you've got a keyboard and computer and lots of software, that you can use to actually create music, as much as all the great big stuff that we've got in the music room, that we actually tend not to use now because it's cumbersome and it takes a lot of effort, whereas computer software makes actually music easier. And it actually, because you've got access to more sounds, it actually can enhance your sound. I used to write all the lyrics, so in a sense my job is now defunct, although that's why I got into all the videos, so that I could still be part of it. But Peter, who isn't very well at the moment, by the way, otherwise he would join us, he creates all the music, he seems to be inspired by, I don't know where he gets his inspiration really from, because it's so diverse when you listen to our stuff. I mean, we've done 140 tracks, but it does vary quite a lot. We have got a small website that, but our main place that you can find us is on YouTube. If you just type in Stage Parades on Google, it'll take you to our YouTube site. We're also on Twitter. We don't use Facebook as much as we used to do, and as I said, we're also on Refurb Nation. But we tend to videos are our main source of pleasure these days, in trying to get someone just to notice us, basically.
Well, you got noticed, Steve. That's Steve Smith, one half of Stage Parades. The other half is a gentleman by the name of Peter Anderson, and thanks to them, and thanks to Tony Scarborough from Wild Coast Radio for letting me use excerpts from his interview with Steve Smith from Stage Parades. Now, if you've enjoyed what you've heard tonight from Stage Parades on our 3-in-a-row instrumental break, then let me tell you the titles of the tunes that you heard. The first one was A Country Mile, which comes from an album they released in 2009 called Through Sands of Time. Track number 2 came from an album released in 2012 called At 60. The track is called Arch Rival. And I've had some lessons in how to pronounce that from Steve Smith. Because it's spelt like arch rival, but there's an E on the end. So I said I'd put on my best French accent for that. And the tune that's playing along behind me is from their latest release. It's their 2015 album Final Curtain, and this track's called My Destiny. As Steve said, if you want to find out more about their music, if you want to listen to more of their music, or indeed watch some of their videos, then the best place to catch up with them is on their YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, put in a search for Stage Parades, and they'll come right up there. And if you'd like to purchase any of their material, then you can do that. It is available on the usual outlets like iTunes, for instance, and you'll be able to download and get their albums that way. If you'd like to have a reminder of the places where you can find more about their music, then I have put up, it should be up about now on the A1 Radio Facebook page if you read that at all. I've put all the links up on there to the YouTube channel and also to Stage Parade's own website, which is stageparades.com. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I know they've got a lot of followers all over the world, and Steve kind of promised me in an email that he sent me earlier on today that I might have some listeners from as far afield as Sweden, Germany, Ohio, California, Australia. So if you're listening to listen to Stage Parades wherever you are in the world, then greetings to you and welcome to the 6 to 8 show here on A1 Radio. Okay, so that's that. I tell you what I do like about some of their music. I've always thought, you get a lot of tunes with titles about places like New York and Paris and something like, those kind of things. But they've actually got a track of music that's on their YouTube channel, which is all about our very own promenade here at Thornton Cleveleys, near Blackpool. It's called Sunset Promenade, and I thought, well, they're the first group of people anywhere ever that I've ever come across who've actually named a song after a place that's actually near where I live. So have a look of it on the YouTube channel, and there's some nice videos on there as well, because you could just imagine those tunes going along with some nice pictures, couldn't you? It's nice sort of late night radio music. It's probably a bit early on in the day to be playing it, really, this time on a Saturday evening, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. And thanks again to Steve Smith from Stage Parades for getting in touch and keeping me informed about what they're doing. It's A1 Radio, the 6 to 8 show, and it's 7 minutes to 7. And time now.